thanks guys for joining me. This is the 2012 OG crew from Caroga Lake Music Festival. So I'm so glad you guys are kind of calling in from your respective places around the world right now. And I just have a few questions since it's been so long since we got to catch up. Where you currently reside, and what projects you're working on, or what groups you're a part of. And I guess, Eva, if you just want to start out.
Sure. So I am living in Houston, Texas now. I'm there with my quartet, the Callisto Quartet, and we are currently the graduate string quartet in residence at Rice. So that's how I spend most of my time, studying, competing, performing a lot. So that's kind of my major pursuit these days.
Nice. Eva and I go way back to playing in quartets when we were like, I don't know, you were like 7 or 8 years old, right?
Yeah, I was 7 when we started playing together, and then we played together all the way through when Kyle graduated from high school.
Yeah.
And then we continued playing together. He went to CIM, and then I eventually went to CIM also when I graduated high school, and then we played together for a year there as well. So we have a long history.
Yes, yes.
Normally, I live in Atlanta, Georgia, and I play with the Atlanta Opera and the Atlanta Ballet and the Columbus, Georgia Symphony. So a lot of different groups down there, and I teach and do all sorts of things. My most recent project is a series of drive-away concerts. So obviously weather dependent, but looking forward to starting that this week, actually, with some short programs in various people's driveways. So
That's so cool.
I'm currently in a city called Takarazuka, which is outside of Osaka. And I work in a city called Nishinomiya, which is directly in between Kobe and Osaka. And I play with this program, as I said before, it's called Hyogo Performing Arts Center. And it's kind of like a New World-ish program. It's considered a professional orchestra here. And it's a 3-year program, and it's orchestra-based mostly.
And Tom and I got to know each other at quartet program, right? And then
oh yeah, forgot about that.
A long time ago.
Yeah, I'm in San Diego now. I live here most of the time, and I'm finishing up my doctorate at UC San Diego, in music, but sort of specializing in like philosophy of music history. I'm in a couple of groups. I have a sort of contemporary jazz group called Tree Search that we write and improvise our own music. And then I'm also in the American Modern Opera Company, which is kind of like a startup collective, a bunch of like singers and dancers and instrumentalists and composers.
Kira and I actually go pretty far back. I remember I was 15 when I first went to Bowdoin. That's when we met, and mainly playing basketball, but also some music involved there, some Grieg quartet.
Definitely less music than basketball, though.
Yeah, true. When I initially asked you to come to Caroga Lake in 2012 for a music festival, what was your like initial thoughts or reactions?
I was at the Heifetz International Music Institute, which was a 6-week program. And I was 17, so that was the first long festival that I did. And so I remember kind of being like, Kyle, I just can't right now. I'm like, I've already been gone for 6 weeks. Like, I'm kind of like overwhelmed. It would be kind of a lot to tack this onto the end of it. Like, thanks for thinking of me, but like, it's just not the right time for me. And you were kind of like, okay, well, you know, whatever, we'll try to find somebody else. And I think you came back to me and were like, Eva, we couldn't find anyone else. Like, we really need you to come. Like, can you please come? Like, please come. And so I ended up, like, instead of going home to Columbus, like hopping on a train from Virginia, where Heifetz was held, to upstate New York. And I was so exhausted and frazzled by the long summer, but then I was so glad that I came because we had so much fun, met some new wonderful people, played some great music, and now seeing everything that the festival has become, and how it's grown, and how many people have become involved in it and been touched by it, I'm just really happy to have been able to been a part of it from the very beginning. So I'm really glad that I ended up coming.
I was just really excited. I was thrilled to be included and excited to play some chamber music. That was really my reason for living at the time. So it was like just a nice thing to kind of, I remember it was late in the summer. So I was looking forward to, having another thing kind of to cap off the summer and meet a bunch of great people and play wonderful music. I was really excited.
But I was just really excited to be a part of this new program that you're putting together. And you said it pretty clearly in your message. From what I can remember, you just were inviting some friends, conservatory friends, and just want to put together some chamber music, some small groups, and just have some fun and play some concerts. And that just sounded really appealing to me. So that was really exciting to be a part of that. And special that it was, the pilot year of this program. So.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was awesome. It was like a ton of fun. A lot of like fond memories of like playing chair music. And
you can say it. We went kneeboarding and played cornhole and did those things.
Yeah. And then I came a couple of times after that, and it's awesome to see how it evolved. And
was that the year that you got picked up for a Met function after our concert? Do you remember this? In a sprinter van by yourself in Hudson?
Oh, right. They sent this like giant, like.
It was a classic Cure moment. And you're like, oh, it's fine. Like Renee Fleming's gonna be there. And it's,
wait, I remember that. You got picked up in a van.
Yeah, right.
A Mercedes van.
Actually, one thing I do remember is that I flew in. I can't remember if it was that year or the next year, but I flew in from like Germany, and I was like really super jet lagged, and like, but then the first thing I did was like went kneeboarding, and like for like way too long, and got like really cold, and then I got like a really high grade fever that night. I like had to go straight to bed, and I didn't eat any dinner, and then I woke up like at like 3 a.m, like went downstairs to the kitchen and ate like all the leftover spaghetti that you had in the fridge. that was like a very enduring memory that I have.
That's amazing. I remember actually I specifically remember that kneeboarding trip because you wore goggles for your first, or one of your.
Oh yeah, man! I lost my goggles. My goggles
are still goggles during that kneeboard ride.
Bottom of Caroga Lake.
Yeah, they're still at the bottom of Caroga Lake, indeed. I was also going to ask, kind of, your goals for future things that you look forward to doing, or aspirations that you have.
Yeah, so I guess my goals for the future are just to continue playing in my quartet and making a living doing that, and performing as much as we can, teaching as much as we can. We're already getting to travel a lot, like all over the country and around the world quite a bit, which is something we all feel very lucky to be able to do. So just continuing all of that and continuing in that direction. So that's kind of what I hope to keep doing. And then as far as the future of Caroga, I'm honestly just very excited to see where it goes. I think it's already amazing what you've been able to do and how it's grown and how many people are so enthusiastic about it. And I know this is just because, like, I still think of you, Kyle, as being 16.
Yeah, of course.
As I still think of myself being really young, because that is like we have so much common experience from back at that time. So it's just really crazy to me to think of you having this vision back in 2012 or 2011, whenever this idea first hatched in your mind, and just seeing how you were able to take that vision and turn it into something that is so amazing and so like continues to develop. And so I have no idea what it's going to look like in 5-10 years. I'm sure it's going to really surpass all our expectations. So I'm just excited to see what happens.
My personal goals, I always feel so lucky to be able to make a living doing what I love to do, and I just hope that I can continue doing that. in a meaningful way. To me, that is, you know, being connected to a community and being able to perform with other people and for other people and to continue teaching a lot. So whatever form that takes, I'm excited for the adventure and hoping that includes travel and all sorts of fun things. Yeah, Caroga Lake is, I mean, I'm just so impressed by all the work that you've done. It hasn't even, I mean, our first year it was a blast, and we were, I think, staying at your grandma's house and eating communal dinners, and now you have this huge program. I'm just totally blown away by the work that you've done and what you've created, and I can't wait to see what you do with it.
I remember even discussing names with you guys that first year, like what we were even going to call this thing. I don't know if you guys remember that. It was like, oh, we'll call it a chamber music festival or a music festival. And then I remember like hand drawing signs, and, you know, everything was so spur of the moment, like people like contributing to making programs, and there was schedules on the whiteboard that would change every like 30 minutes.
I remember that.
There's a lot of fond memories in that respect.
I'm really grateful to be where I am right now in Japan here. I'd love to be a freelancer here in Japan, but obviously, you know, that requires the language. So we'll see what's going on with that. But one of my main passions has always been chamber music, and I would love to continue that and focus on it more seriously in the next few years. So I'm thankful that Caroga Lake has been a part of that. And in terms of the future of Caroga Lake, again, I'm just really excited to see what you guys come up with, what new and exciting things you guys do, and collabs with these amazing artists that I'm constantly seeing. It's really an amazing thing you're doing. So.
Thank you. Yeah, and likewise for you, Tom. Yours. Welcome to come back anytime, and maybe we'll bring ourselves to Japan at some point too. That way.
Yeah, absolutely. You guys are welcome. Come on down.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to getting my dissertation. I feel like I have tunnel vision. I'm like, all I can think about is like things right in front of me, like cannons.
Are you teaching there still at UCSD?
Yeah, I do. I taught a class last quarter. I called Histories and Philosophies of Performance. It was great. I had a great time. I love teaching. I would love to do more of it. I think in terms of Caroga Lake, I remember it was like a super formative experience for us, and also for, you know, like all the people who have stayed on, like Julian and Aaron and Andy, and you know, everything that they contributed, and Debbie and Steph and David and Grandma. And I just, yeah, it's amazing to see, you know, like this kind of like grassroots organization really flourish and give back to the community that it grew out of. And I think that's, you know, super important. And especially where I'm at now, like in like big academies and institutions where everything is very impersonal much of the time, it's really nice to remember that like these kinds of like grassroots organizations can build themselves up through like communities and through friendships, and I think that's really, really important, especially these days. So also, one thing I appreciate about the way you've run the festival is that you're also really open to like many different kinds of artists and like styles of music. I think that's amazing that you do everything, you know, from the traditional classical stuff to like really outsider experimental artists like Rashad Eggleston. It's pretty cool. So yeah, I think that's great, and I think that's kind of like, for me, that's like this, that encapsulates the spirit of Caroga Lake is that openness to like to experimentation, and yeah.
Well, thanks you guys for joining me so much. It's really awesome to see you all, and I hope you stay well, stay healthy, and I know everyone's going to be excited to see your faces over this little Zoom chat, and I just really appreciate it. Hope you'll come back to Caroga sometime soon.
Thank you so much.
Great. Thanks for having me.
Great to see everybody.
Good to see you guys.
Well, yeah.
I know. All right.